right, this is lesson 10.5. We are on page 445. And the objective of this lesson is we will compare, contrast, and convert metric units. We will compare, contrast, and convert metric units. So here's the unlock the problem. I'm going to go ahead and read it. You can read it with me. Begin. Using a map, Alex estimates the distance between his house and his grandparents' house to be about 15,000 meters. About how many kilometers away from his grandparents' house does Alex live? So basically what we're learning today is converting distance in metric units. And we have the information given. So we read the problem and we're going to highlight. And the areas to highlight are information that we're going to use. And what is the question asking us to find? In this case, I have Alex estimates the distance between his house and his grandparents' house to be about 15,000 meters. So I know this information I'm going to need. 15,000 meters. About how many kilometers? This is a question. How many kilometers away from his grandparents' house does Alex live? So we want to know from meters to kilometers. The metric system is based on place value. So here we come back, we bring back the powers of 10. Each unit is related to the next largest or next smallest unit by a power of 10. So here's one way to do this. And we are converting 15,000 meters to kilometers. This is the order of our metric system from smallest to biggest. We have kilometers. I'm sorry, not kilometers. Well, we want to do kilo, hecto, deca, and this is our unit. Then we have deci and centi and milli. So this is actually bigger. I apologize. Bigger to smaller. So kilo, if we're measuring in meters, we would just add the first part of the word and then it'll end with meter. So for example, if we're talking about meters, it would be kilometers, hectometers, decameter, decimeter, centimeter, or millimeter. And each one is, the value is, differs by a power of 10. So from kilo and hecto, there's a difference of a power of 10. From hecto to deca, there's a power of 10, and from deca to the unit is power of 10. So let's go ahead and find the relationship between the units. Meters are blank, powers of 10 smaller than kilometers. So we're comparing meters to kilometers. How many powers of 10 is meters smaller than kilo? Remember, this is bigger and this is smaller. So we're going from big to small. And we want to know how many powers smaller is meter to kilo. So for that we can count, right? 1, 2, 3. So meters are 3 powers of 10 smaller than kilometers. So that means that there are 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. Why? Because 10, the third power of 10 is 1,000. Or if you go 10 times 10 times 10 is 1,000. So there is 1,000 meters equals 1 kilometer. So 1,000 meters is equal to 1 kilometer. Now we're going to determine the operation that we need to use. So when I am converting from a smaller, right? Because this is smaller than kilometers. So I'm converting from a smaller unit to a larger unit. And it's the same rules as the past lessons. If I'm going from small to big or large, we divide. So I will divide because I'm going from something larger or bigger to smaller. So now we're ready to convert. I know the number, I have 15,000 meters, and I'm going to divide, and I'm going to put here the number of meters in 1 kilometer. So it's the number of meters. So they have to be the same metric unit. So in this case, it's meters. There's 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer. And so if I'm dividing by 1,000, that means if you remember from when we were dividing it would be like dividing decimals. 15,000 divided by 100, you can just move your decimal point. How many zeros I have to the left? 1, 2, 3. So I would move it 1, 2, 3. So 15,000 divided by 1,000 is 15. Another way to do it is I have 1, 2, 3 zeros, so 3 zeros cancel out when I divide. So Alex's house is 15 kilometers from his grandparents' house. And you could not see it all this time. Okay, let me review this instead of starting all over. I didn't realize you couldn't see it. So let's go ahead, and when we're converting, I'm going to repeat it again in case you missed it. So we have 15,000 meters, and we're going to divide because we're going from small to large. And here we're going to divide it by the number of meters in kilometers. This is in meters, so I'm going to divide by how many meters are in the unit we're converting to, which is kilometers. So when we're dividing 15,000 by 1,000, you can cancel out the zeros. I have 3 zeros here, so I cancel out 3 zeros. Or you can do it like when we're dividing decimals, where this is where my decimal point is. So in 15,000, my decimal point is at the end, and I have to move my decimal place 3 places. So that's 1, 2, 3, because I have 3 zeros. So that would equal 15. So Alex's house is 15 kilometers from his grandparents' house. Okay, let's go ahead and continue with the next one. Here's another way. Another way to do this is using a diagram. Jamie made a bracelet 1.8 decimeter long. So she is decimeter. So you look in your chart, and we have decimeter. How many millimeters long is Jamie's bracelet? So we're going to convert, okay? You would have to highlight 1.8 decimeters, and how many millimeters long is Jamie's bracelet. So I'm converting from decimeter to millimeter. So from deci, I'm going from deci to millimeter. Remember that this is big and smaller. Now, let's go ahead and follow the steps. Step number 1, we're going to show 1.8 decimeters. Since the unit is decimeters, place a decimal point so that decimeters are the whole number unit. So here we have 1.8 decimeter. So I'm putting 1 decimeter, 8. So I'm putting 8 in here, and so we're gonna take away that decimal point so that we can have a whole number unit. Okay, we had to move it 1 place value. Now we're gonna go ahead and convert. Cross out the decimal and rewrite it so the millimeters will be the whole number unit. Write zeros to the left of the decimal point as needed to complete the whole number. So in this case, if I need to find millimeters, then I'm going to just complete the number and take away that decimal point. So as I'm doing this, I know that this is a decimeter, centimeter, millimeter. So I started my number in the deci because that's decimeters. And then to make a millimeter, I removed the decimal point and added a 0 so that it ends in the millimeters. So that 1.8 decimeter would equal 180 millimeters. Okay, because this is where my millimeter place value is. So Jamie's bracelet is 180 millimeters long. So you might be saying, oh, yeah, this one's it works beautifully because you can just start decimeter and then take away the decimal point and add zeros until you're at the last place value where you're changing it to. Okay, so now let's go ahead and try A. We're going to convert 247 milligrams to centigrams. Notice that grams we're not working with grams, not meters, but grams. They will still have the same place value. It's just a different measurement unit. And grams weighs, it's for weight, whereas meter is for length. And liter is for capacity. So a liter is for capacity. You know, like when you measure with pounds, well, liter, not pounds. When liter, when you measure like by gallons or cups or ounces. In this case, we're doing liters. And when we're doing meters, it's like doing length and this, but in the metric unit. Non-metric would be feet, yards, miles. And and then grams is for weight. Okay, just a little info on those. So convert 247 milligrams to centigrams. So we're looking at the beginning of the word. So we have milli and we have centi. And if you look in our chart here, we have milli here and we have centi. So we're going from smaller to bigger. And are the units being converted to a larger unit or a smaller unit? So that's, if you're doing the first way we did it, we asked if we're going to a smaller unit or a larger unit. So we're going from milli to centi. Milli is smaller than centi, right? See, because we're going from smaller to bigger. So as the more you go to your left, the larger it is. And so milli to centi is, we're going to a larger unit. Should you multiply or divide by powers of 10 to convert? So that's where you're asking yourself now, am I going to multiply or divide? Remember, from small to larger or bigger, you have to divide. But when you're going from larger to smaller, you have to multiply. So now, should you multiply or divide by powers of 10? I need to divide, right? Because I'm going from smaller to larger. So I'm going from millimeters to centimeters. So here I have 247 milligrams. And I'm going to go ahead and convert one at a time. So 247 milligrams. And I'm going to divide it by 10, a power of 10. And that result will give me the unit in centigrams. So 247 divided by 10, well, I would just move my decimal point to the left because I'm dividing one time. You don't have to do the whole division, okay, process. You can just move your decimal point. So if I move it over one time, 247 divided by 10 is equal to 24.7. I still need to keep going because I need to convert it more times. Let's see, 247 divided by 100. So now this time, I'm supposed to move my decimal point 2 times because I have 2 zeros. Or if I do it by 100, or the second power of 10. So that would give me 2.1. 247. Finally, I have 247 divided by 1,000. So then I go 0.247 because I moved my decimal point 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So here we converted. So the instruction said convert 247 milligrams to centigrams, decigrams, and grams. So I converted to centigrams, decigrams, and grams. And so each one, see, if you notice here, we're going from milligrams to centigrams to decigrams and to grams. So we're just going finding it in each place value. And so every time we divide it by a bigger power of 10. All right, so I want you to go ahead and go on to Think Central and do the checking for understanding.